Friends, in our lecture series, we are considering misconducts. This time, we are going to see something like fraud. If you see industries where model standing orders are applicable, the misconduct is defined in such a way that is theft, fraud, and dishonesty in connection with the employer's property or business, or in connection with the property of any other worker. Now, this is the misconduct. In simple words, you commit a fraud or some sort of a dishonesty or a theft of something which belongs to somebody else. Now, friends, throughout our lives since childhood, we have been brought with notions that that which belongs to somebody is not mine. And if I take it from him, it's called as theft, generally. I'm not going strictly by the definition which is mentioned in the Indian Penal Code, wherein all of you all are aware that theft is defined in section 378 of the Indian Penal Code. Fraud, we are going to see as to what is fraud today. And for both of this, there is dishonesty, a dishonest intention. Even in section 420 of the Indian Penal Code, it speaks of dishonestly inducing delivery of property. But today, let's not go into that deeper. Today, I'm going to comment upon dishonesty, fraud, and theft as a misconduct, which we find it in the standing orders. Now, you see, basically, what is fraud? Fraud is an act or omission which is intended to cause wrongful gain to one party and wrongful loss to the other, either by way of, say, concealment of facts or otherwise. Now, this otherwise is very, very important. It has got great dimensions, of which we are going to see some of the examples today. But what basically is fraud? Fraud, friends, is also defined in section 421 of the Indian Penal Code or under section 17 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. We do not dwell so much deeper, because here what happens is whoever is a workman and he commits this sort of a misconduct, this misconduct has to be proved on the anvil of the Indian Evidence Act 1872 in a departmental inquiry. But we are again not on that. Today I am going to explain you what exactly is meant by theft, fraud, and dishonesty. There are so many examples and so many examples, and many of our Indian friends have really given food to our minds to understand as to what are the vistas, and it deploys a very, very broader spectrum. Now you see what could be the examples. Sometimes we criticize Indians. I mean, this is what you all are doing, Indian workers. But then this is just for academic discussion, friends. We understand. Say unrecorded vacations and sick leave. Unrecorded vacations, and you go on a vacation which is not recorded itself. Take the payment from the company, but do not work. This is fraud. This indeed is dishonesty also. Or malingering. What is malingering? Malingering is false sickness. People count how many days are remaining, and yes, the leaves are going to get exhausted by the end of 31st, and 31st I have to enjoy because next day is a new year and there are 5 leaves to my credit. So what do? I indulge into malingering. I write applications that yes, I am sick, false sickness. This, friends, is fraud. Company needs you in that at that point of time, but the eyes are only upon how many leaves are to my credit and how many are balance and how many are remaining. Stealing cash or equivalent, something equivalent. Stealing cash, something which is everybody is given a margin to spend, but then you just keep the money in your pocket. And then say stationery. I remember a friend of mine who was with me in school. I always used to find all his stationery right from kindergarten till he passed his 10th exam. He never brought any stationery from any shop. His father used to provide him everything. What a great father! Some we children used to say everything: pencil, rubber, sketch pens, this thing, and we used to say you never visit a stationery shop also. And moreover, all those blank papers used to have the seal of that company. This, friends, later, of course, today I understand that is fraud. Payroll, falsification of payroll. You have not worked overtime, but you show it as overtime. Overtime, as you understand, has to be paid at the double rate of the ordinary rate of wages. So when falsify the accounts in such a manner that you cook the books as well as balance the books also. So everything has to be legally in place. You become a party to such things to your employer. The employer tells you that yes, we are giving single time overtime, single rate overtime. So what you do is, when a person works 2 days, you mark it as 1 day. So 1 day, or vice versa also. So it has to be calculated. You don't have to pay a double rate. So you show half the overtime. Then ghost employees. There are employees who pretend to be working, but he is not working at all. This itself is fraud. Say, and moreover, friends, sometimes union leaders have indulged into this. Some union leaders think it's their prerogative to come, mark their attendance, and under the name of trade unionism, they go from this shop floor to that shop floor doing nothing. These are ghost employees. This itself is fraud. Then, friends, what we see is use of corporate credit cards. Corporate credit cards for unauthorized person. Everybody is given a corporate credit card. Limits are fixed, but you don't go by that. Fictitious travel vouchers. Almost it's become a hobby of so many people that he gets a first class to travel, but he travels by second class, shows some false tickets, and then keeps the amount in his pocket. Deception by employees, claiming false expenses, embezzlement by altering the accounts or creating inaccurate invoices. I remember one thing wherein the invoice used to say 3,000 rupees in figures. Now what you do is you join the ends of that 3 and 3 becomes 8. So it's 8,000 rupees. This is fraud. And when a person is caught, then he really has to face the music. But this is the misconduct of fraud, friends. Friends, another instance is diverting payments. There's a case of a bank manager wherein there were some disbursements to be made for some poor beneficiaries. Having not found the beneficiaries, now the money has to go back to the government. He diverted them on his own account. This is fraud. Data theft, intellectual property theft, unauthorized personnel signing approval forms. You ask your, say, watchman to sign on this piece of paper, and he scribbles that in such a manner that nobody understands whose signature it is. And then this signature is treated as an approval. Falsified transaction, false mileage. In one case, I mean, the vehicles were diesel vehicles and the driver submitted petrol bills. How could this be possible? When the car itself is a diesel car, how can there be a petrol bill? Simple to understand. This itself is fraud. Then entertainment without legitimate business purpose. Theft is in a way pretty simple to understand. As I told you, that which is not mine is theft. I do not go into the niceties of whether it's criminal misappropriation or technically it is theft or whatever. Simple words, that which is not mine is theft. And these are the cultural values wherein you and me have been taught in our homes itself. Yes, this is not mine. This belongs to the employer, so it is not mine. To take it by this way or that way or by any means is fraud. Ultimately, what is fraud, friends? Fraud is any dissembling, cunning trick so as to deceive a person. Human mind is very fertile. It invents new methods, ways and means, uses technological data, education, everything is used to commit a fraud. And then we see that yes, this is a new type of a fraud. Policemen also put it in newspapers and let all of us know this is a new type of a fraud. But what is it? When it happens in industries, it's fraudulent behavior. And then this is a misconduct. Friends, let me make a mention of a few cases. Vinod Kumar versus DDA. Now, in this case, the employment itself was obtained by on the basis of some forged documents. It was held by the honorable courts that the appointment itself is void ab initio. There is a fraud practice right at the inception of getting the job itself. In another case, that is Ashok Kapil versus Sanaullah. This is an important case wherein the court relied upon the maxim that is nullus commodum. Capere protest de injuria sua propria. What does this mean? This means nobody can take an advantage of his own wrong. people commit a fraud and then he wants to take an advantage of it. That is not allowed. And then Amrik Singh versus Labour Court Bhatinda. What did the court hold in this? Court said that, say, with sometimes, not all, I would paint everybody with the same brush, but there are some conductors who are dishonest. And what they indulge is, they indulge into pilferage, stealing small amounts. The bus fare is 10 rupees. And then he keeps 2 rupees in his pocket. This is pilferage, but then you count the number of trips which he does. And then it becomes huge money at the end of the month. So this is not allowed. And the honorable judge said that fraud is like a drop of poison in a bucket of milk. One drop makes the total bucket unfit for consumption by any person. It's just a drop of poison. This is the way, that is the metaphor which the honorable judge has used. So a drop of poison in a bucket of milk, and you cannot consume the milk itself. Fraud, friends, disturbs the total organization, the company. It goes to the root of the matter, and such employees, such workmen are to be picked off, and then they have to be tried in the departmental inquiry, and then whatever is the punishment depending on the proving of the case. But indeed, theft, fraud, and dishonesty is a misconduct under the model standing orders. Thank you.